All right.
Great.
Everybody comfortable? Everybody straight? All right. So, starting off, I'd say my name is King, King the Wise Man. Any AKA that I want to go by, I'm gonna go by it. As y'all know me, real close friends. First, I want to start off by just doing a little weekly checkup, like seeing how everybody's been feeling for the whole week, seeing how everybody's mental state been for the whole week. Starting off with my friend Jordan right here. How you been?
Pretty good. Just hanging in there. Yeah, this week. Yes. Yeah.
Right. What about you, Kayla?
I've been doing pretty good. Taking my classes. Just homecoming week. Having fun.
Having fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's what's up. What about your son? Straight?
That's what I can't call it. Been alright.
Man, real good week. So for starters, I want to start off by saying that I made this podcast and really just in hopes of trying to do my best with unifying. There's a big issue for me. For one, in the case I like to say the generational gap. For those that might not know, it's the gap between the culture and understanding of just like how you would say what your mom, your grandmother, stuff like that, just that generational type beat. One thing for certain, I feel as though that a lot of people are really just disconnected when it comes to that, where it just comes from our generation, the generation before us, the generation before them, and the generation after us. I feel like there's a lot of things that kind of disconnect and really just like don't allow us to come to a complete understanding as people. And I feel like that's one thing I want to achieve when it comes to just this podcast. Like I really want to make sure that everybody can come to understanding and just as people get better.
All right.
So start off asking a general question, just how does everyone feel as people? Like how do you feel about the way like you got your own success, and find like your own path to success, like, and how is that different from like how people, older generations or older people or like people in your family might see it as like, that might not be the right thing to do or whatnot, or that could be just, what's it called? Like just seen as the wrong way, or they might see it as the wrong way. But for you, it feels like, like this is what you really want to do. Like I say in my example, like even with just my podcast, like some of my family members, for one, wouldn't say they wouldn't recommend it or they don't support it. They just don't see like the importance behind it of what I'm trying to do, or like the importance behind what us as a younger generation tries to achieve. Like how most of people just you need to be a doctor, a lawyer, teacher, something like that, but there's actually general ways of doing things without having to go through that route. Like, what you feel on that?
I mean, every generation really had its own upbringing. Like, every generation has its resources. They didn't have, what we have now. We got phones, we got technology, we got different means of getting different things that past generations didn't have. And as we look at past generations, we have to be able to differentiate the way that they had to work, the way they had to live, the way they had to get around. Like they just didn't have all the modern technology, all the modern ways of transportation. They didn't have all that we had. So a lot of the stuff they had to get was out the mud. Like they really had to grind to get, the clothes that they wear, the jobs that they got, the families that they got. Versus us, a lot of the stuff that we have or that we've gotten, I'm not saying that everybody had it like given to them, but it was easier to get and easier for the past generation to provide to the new generation, to their kids, to their kids' kids. It's just simply us having more resources and it being easier to get them.
What about you? What about y'all too, Jordan? How you feel like just the disconnect between success is like it's shown within our generation compared to like previous generation. Like let's say with people as like your grandmother's generation.
Well, I feel like, well, yeah, every generation is different, but I feel like our older generations definitely prioritize success as like, oh, I found a job, I have a family, and it's like we don't necessarily, this generation, we don't prioritize, like, I guess the simple life of getting a job, having a family, you know, retiring at like 65 and stuff like that. Like, I feel like we prioritize, I guess, our own individualism. Like, you kind of have to, in this generation, well, I say for our generation, I feel like you do whatever you want. Like, you start your business, you know, be successful with that. You know, you can model, you can rap, you could do whatever. It's just like, it's a lot more opportunities now than it was prior, I guess. But I mean, they did make it easier for us to have these types of things. But yeah, I just feel like we don't necessarily prioritize similar things. Like nowadays, like family is not really a priority. So yeah.
All right, what about you, Kevin?
What I think is that I think older generations define success as like you go to school, you get a job, you have kids, you raise a family. But I think generations now, it's like you define success in your own way, like you said. It's kind of, you just define success in your own way. It's not one set thing that you have to do. And I think older generations was like, you have to get a job, you have to work this type of job, whatever, in order to be successful. But I think now it's like a lot of us don't even want like those traditional type of jobs. So I think generations, like stuff changes in between. So it's like we don't define success the same way that they do now. And that's fine.
All right. So starting off, let me get into a very weird topic, but a very not really weird, but it would seem abnormal, but it's actually kind of like a very good way to describe it. So, and it's kind of weird, but if you go into, like, let's say you're going with your mom or like any of your family members, older family members, and you going over to like someone's house, the general question, I mean, for most of us, not really, because we got high-speed data and whatnot, but that general first question that you ask would most likely be like, you know, what's the Wi-Fi password? And it's really just crazy because if you would think like 20 years ago, that question wouldn't even exist. And it's like, for older people, they'll say, well, where's the restroom? Where's the bathroom? Where, like, things that they'll see important. But for us, bathroom isn't really important. And it's crazy because, like, if you really think about it, well, first, I'll say, with Generation Z, the generation that we in, you know, you got the millennials, Generation Z, Y, Alpha, that's the one after us. But particularly Generation Z is like, we find it more important for the Wi-Fi password to be, you know, asked about than it is for the bathroom. And it's like, that's just our importance to us. Like, we find having the internet or having that access is way more important. And it's crazy because literally, like, you would think, oh damn, let me go, like, you would have to use a restroom before you want to check your Instagram feed, but that's not really the case on that matter. And it's the fact that nearly about 50% of us, and when I mean us, I mean like Generation Z, like, find that way more important than it is to be, like, I don't really know how I'm trying to say it. It's just like, I feel as though most definitely when it comes to things of that nature, like, you see the difference in what the generation like says as is important or what's not important. And it's like, to think about it as of now, if I go Generation Alpha, like, I'll say, like, my little cousin, for this instance, shout out my little cousin, her birthday is tomorrow. By the age of 2, I could give her my whole iPhone, and literally this girl can go to YouTube by herself, At that time, I think what was it, Coco Melon was something that was, yeah, like that was important to her, and like she could get to that without a problem. Like I didn't even have to like go to Instagram, go to YouTube or nothing. Like she could just find it, and it's crazy because like the same phone around the same time I can give to my grandmother, and it's like it could take her like 15 minutes just to type in www. on the website, and it's kind of crazy to me like really thinking about it, because it's really just like, damn, like this is someone who is 2 years old compared to someone who's in their mid 60s. She's gonna kill me for saying that, but mid 60s, just with college degree and all, can't even work a simple iPhone. But it's just like that's not something she's used to. Like I feel like technology really just it amplified us, but it changed perspective of what we view as important. And it's like for us as people, I feel like we need to really just connect more on that aspect. World is changing, and it's like as the world changes, things change. Like, let me ask you this. As far as back as you can remember, when was the first time that you had Wi-Fi?
First time I had Wi-Fi?
Like the first time you was just like Wi-Fi, cable, all that. Like just having internet access or a phone.
Shoot. When I first moved to Georgia, moved into my first house. I had Wi-Fi then. I had cable, I had Wi-Fi.
I mean, shit, that's the same. What about you?
Probably like elementary school.
Alright, elementary.
I got my first phone in elementary school. I don't know how I had Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it's crazy because like back in, I was asking around like to my older siblings, my older family members, people like professors on campus and stuff, and it's like it made me think about it and look it up. Like back in 19. All right. So I'm just gonna hold on. Let me do a spike. So I know when to cut that. All right. Start for the first one. So, in terms of culture, like, how do y'all feel as though there's a disconnect in the generations with culture? Like, how do you feel as though, like, with style of clothes, or the way the music is, or with just forms of entertainment, or things that you've seen as interesting? Like, how do you feel like though that changed, or that just disconnects us?
I think because of social media, there's so much more of like a wider variety, because you can see like what people are doing from other cultures, other countries, all that type of stuff. So you can get influenced by everything you see on social media. So I think that changes the way like music, entertainment, how all of that influences us. Because there's so much more that you can see, and you can like combine and all that stuff. There's a specific word for that. I don't know what it is called, but basically globalizing, something like that. But like basically everybody's getting more interconnected because of social media. I think that's the word.
Yeah, I mean, piggybacking off of her, yeah, I feel like social media does have like something to do with like culture, I guess. But when you said culture, I thought about culture in a different way. Like when you were talking about generationally speaking, I feel like American culture, like just in general, like we don't really have any generational principles. I feel like if you look at Asian cultures or like African cultures and stuff like that, like I guess from family-based things, you really, I guess in your family, you know how we have like an abundance of like homeless and like retirement homes and stuff like that. Yeah, we don't really place or value like our elders or anything like that. When you were talking about generations and stuff like that, like we don't really do that. We just, us as Americans, look at old people as, oh, we don't need you anymore, like you already worked, like now it's time for you to go and like wait on death at a retirement home, which is very sad to say, but that's just how we are. Whereas like if you're looking at other cultures like African cultures or Asian cultures, then they take care of their family members, you know, they're in the house with them until, you know, they pass.
So we don't value our heritage like that, or our ancestry.
Not necessarily our heritage, because you grow up with your heritage every day. It's instilled in you. I just feel like not necessarily like respecting your elders.
Family isn't valued the same in American culture as it is in other cultures.
Yeah,
that's facts. What about you, my boy?
I mean, obviously, every culture is different. You got cultures from around the world that have different disciplines, different ways of life. People wake up and do different things every single day across the world, and obviously it's gonna be disconnected because everybody isn't around the same cultures or different cultures. They're around the same cultures rather, as they grow up through their families. So, and I feel like one of the things that actually brings cultures together would be social media. Though it's not always positive, it's just a way that the world has kind of connected through on a global scale, just as far as what everybody sees, what everybody takes in, different ways of life. Of course, American culture isn't gonna be the same as Asian culture or, cultures in Europe.
So, what you got? What you want to say?
Also, though, I think that it's a difference between I guess racially, also just black culture versus American culture in general, because I don't feel you'll go on Twitter or something, it's like Black Twitter, and it's everybody talking about, oh, we all had these same sheets growing up, or your mama was yelling at y'all because you ain't take the chicken out the freezer, stuff like that, so everybody can relate on that type of stuff, or your auntie with the big arms cooking in the kitchen, stuff like that.
Sure.
All right. So also, how do y'all feel about this analogy? Because I heard y'all say a lot about the American as people who don't really have per se a distinct culture. How do y'all feel about seeing it? I seen something on a documentary a couple months ago, and someone had made the comparison to America being what's it called? What's it called? Dang, what's Tanger again? Tanger's
Tanger.
Yeah, what's
Tanger outlet.
Yeah, outlet mall. They was making comparison to an outlet mall, and saying how really it's just one big area with rented out spaces, and it's just you got people from all over coming in, selling what they got, and it's I had seen it and I was reflecting on it, and I was just damn, that's a kind of a good way to look at it, because really it's just we have so many different, we got Asian Americans, Latin Americans, what's some other ones? African Americans, we got Asian Americans, I don't know if I said that already, European Americans, people from all over just coming in, just making, well, as they say, the American dream, you going off trying to make yourself into a big success. And it's when you see that, it goes from many perspectives, because it's just how when we go to different countries and they have their traditions, their rituals, they're just simple ways of doing things. We are just so diverse. It's all over the place. I feel as though one thing mainly that disconnects us is just the fact of how much literally we don't even know about our own country to even say anything about the other ones. I have people from coming in from different states, or I'm meeting people from different things, and they're just, oh, that's so different. That's just, I never heard that before. How some people up north call sodas pop and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Just different lingos, different ways of going by things, or how they have different words for the same stuff. It's just we're so distant in our own country. It's there's no way to really just say oh, this is designated for everybody, but we all have our own, not really own, but we all have our similarities in how we're brought up, how things connect with certain ones.
Well, I don't know. I kind of felt what you were saying, I feel like, yeah, I mean, we do have different regions, like, you know, where we grow up and we have different similarities and stuff like that. But I just feel like, I mean, we do know what America is. Like, even though it's not very widely taught, like, especially in schools right now, because of the ban and stuff. But it's just like, we know how America came to be. And then we also know, like, what went into making America what it is. Like, yes, you have, like, different regions, like, okay, the North and South, West, but I mean that's what makes America like unique. Like we don't have to, we don't all have to be doing the same things. That's what makes America America. You can do whatever you need to do and still, you know, oh, like I have a friend from New York or like whatever. Like you just have your own autonomy in order to like be able to make as many friends as you want or interact with who you want to. That's just what's best about being in America. Like you meet everybody.
All right, so with that, like how do y'all feel like interaction is different when it comes to our culture? I mean, not our culture, but our generation. Like the way we interact, the way we talk to people, the way we see things, or the way we get messages across.
I think it can be a good or a bad thing. Like it can be good and bad. Like I don't think necessarily the fact that like there's different cultures within different parts of our country is a bad thing. Like you said, that's what makes it more diverse and like and can almost, I mean, it kind of depends. Like you can let that bring y'all together or bring us apart at the same time, because it's like those things could either be like, oh, y'all do this over here, like that's different, connect on those type of things, like sharing your experiences and stuff, or it can be like you do that and that's wrong. And you know,
those are the best types of friendships,
the best types. And everybody don't really, as far as good and bad sides go, everybody doesn't take, you know, the same things. They don't take it. Like they're not able to, you know, make it a good thing or make it a bad thing. They're like, you can say something to me and I might be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. You know, I really respect that. But other people are gonna, you know, take it as a bad thing, take it as disrespect towards their culture or towards their way of life. And that's just how the world is. You gotta be able to respect everybody's way of life and be able to respect the way that they think.
So what about with like also going into interaction with communication? Like do you feel as though that's like the same going like, oh, this generation is glued to their phones? Like do you feel as though like,
oh, for sure,
that's
for sure, that's
what you think?
I feel like, I mean, we kind of are glued to our phones, but that's kind of if you're in an environment that you don't want to be or that you're uninterested in. Like if you're interested in your environment or whatever's going on, you're gonna be engaged. Like you're gonna like you know, talk, hang out, whatever. But if it's uninterested to you, it's gonna show. It's just like it's easier now for that to show because now we have other distractions to you're on your phone.
We have to, like, our generation, like, we need constant entertainment, like 24/7, you know? Otherwise, it's just, like, you bored.
Yeah.
If you go out in nature and you're somebody who really likes to see the sights, who really likes to see them type of views, you're not going to have your phone up the whole time. You're going to be looking at the trees. You're going to be looking up. You're going to be looking all around because you don't really see stuff like that everywhere. Like, out here, like in the city, you're not going to be able to walk around nature unless you're in a park. You have to go to the park like nature is.
Because it said like, as in for us, Generation Z, or for our generation, it said that like we're better with processing information faster, but we have a shorter attention span. And it's like how we can literally watch a movie, talk to our friends, search on Instagram, and do all that at once, but we can't really just focus on one thing at a time. Like if you start off like if we're watching Harry Potter or something or any movie and I throw it on, then everybody's on their phone at one point. Well, now we can hear it while we're being on here, but we're not really watching it, but we're still engaged.
Everybody ain't interested in that.
Yeah, that goes back to what Joe's saying, like, because that's like my teacher, for example. I have a teacher, he's sitting in the class and he just rambles and rambles and rambles about history, and that's really boring to me, and I be sleeping in class every time. And it's not like it's not important or that, you know, it's just like, I'm not interested, it's not going to hold my attention.
Or if you don't make it engaging. Yeah. Like, if you're not talking about nothing, then I'm going to be like this in the front row.
Be on my phone.
Literally, like.
It's important, like, so what do you feel as though when it comes to our opinions on certain things? Like, how certain things we might feel different on, or we might say, it's less of importance, more of importance, but back then ain't mean shit to them. Like
what do you mean by that? Like,
No, I mean, I know what you mean. Same thing, you know. As far as opinions go, do you got the same opinion as me as far as what we eat? Not all the time, right?
not really, but it's like when you think about with certain people, or not really certain people, as in the difference with generations. Like in this generation right now, I'll say stuff like that comes to importance with us, as in, well, not say with us, but as us, as in,
Everybody.
yeah, like coming from. Want to say starting off from just high speed internet over just knowing simply where the bathroom is, like something like that is the importance to us, or being able to connect, or being able to not be distant from society on the standpoint of just like, damn, like if what's it called? If every network tower in a fucking 100-mile radius just went out, I feel like for us, we're gonna be bored out our damn minds. Like shit, when we was told we couldn't go outside
okay.
for some months, like everybody was just like, well, what are we gonna do? Like,
I think it's different though, because like back then it's like you just go knock on people's door. You don't do that now.
Yeah.
Like that's how because otherwise we're not getting in connection with each other. Like you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We don't really have no type of other connection with each other unless you just happen to see them somewhere or something like that. So if all the what did you say, Wi-Fi towers, whatever, went out, and that would just be that. Like you know,
just be that. Like people aren't doomed and destined to be lost without technology. Like I like to read and sketch and do other things that don't involve me being on my phone or being on the web. It's just the type of person that you are and what you like to do with your spare time.
And even then, bro, like when I had a freaking phone in elementary, like that wasn't it. Like it's
man,
like
I had to wait to goddamn.
yeah,
Seventh grade.
but we can go without it.
Literally, like
we can go without it. Makes life easier, but we could go without it.
But that's the thing, like I wasn't calling nobody in 5th grade talking about literally I'm calling my mom. Yeah, I'm getting off the bus. I'm going in the house now. Yes, I locked the door. But other than that, I would be outside on the trampoline.
Let me ask you about that though, because I was actually just gonna bring that up on a certain standpoint. As we got older, I feel like as though things definitely changed, and I feel like when that happened, the next generation after us started to adapt to that, because I can remember times being in elementary school, early middle school and stuff like that. Going outside was really it. Like that was the best thing. Like you had to throw me back inside. Like if I could be out from the time I got out of school, don't let it be a weekend. If it's the weekend, as soon as 12 o'clock hit, I'm outside until the street lights come on. But it's just like, as time went older, I stopped going outside. I stopped, like, people in my neighborhood, not that one. Not him. He's out the question. Anyway, little Gerard shake this. But anyway, it's just like, now you don't really see that as much. As far as, I mean, of course people are gonna go outside and play basketball. That's basketball. That's a universal thing. Like that's something that we always gonna do. But as far as just going out and exploring, like I remember the times where I'll go out with some of my neighborhood friends or some of my friends. Now we'll go out, build tree huts, or just go walk around, just trying to see what new we can find, mud pies and stuff like that. It's, y'all don't probably know about mud pies, but like just man, that was man.
I think that's more than generational though.
I mean, I used to be.
I don't think that's just generational. I think that comes with age also.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, as my grown self, like I'm not going outside and picking honeysuckles and hunting and trying to catch crawfish.
Hey, bro. Let me tell you something about the honeysuckles, bro. Them things used to bust, bro. I ain't gonna lie, they banned us in elementary school from going outside because kids was literally
they
started spraying pesticides on them. I think they lied.
No,
that's messed up.
Literally.
So you talking about snow? Like didn't nobody used to?
Man,
That
look,
is
bro,
right.
we had snow.
No way.
I recall snow like 3 times in my the entire time.
It did not snow like that. Like
That's the best.
Hey, bro, snowpocalypse was
remember 7th grade?
bruh.
that was
We
really
bruh,
it.
when I tell you we was in the car
That
the
was
same
it.
day, we was in the car. We saw 3 accidents happen
Bruh.
the same
Definitely
day.
stuck at school.
Little side note, bro. So snowpocalypse. I was in South America coming back with my mom, my sister, and me, my mom, my sister, and legit, soon as we hit the airport, we just see everybody just in this airport just crowded. I was like, what the hell is going on? Going around, next thing you know, everybody was just like, oh, we can't leave. We was like, what you mean we can't leave? Like, I gotta go home. And they was just like, nah, highways messed up, whatnot. So literally, I kid you not, my mom was just not going for it. We got in our car, put it up, like cranked it up, everything. She let it warm up for like an hour. We tried to make it as far as we could. And literally, she worked at the bank right there in front of Banneker. So literally, we was in that building for 3 days and 3 nights because this. My mom.
Wow.
Literally.
Wow.
Yo.
I was gonna say this. I was gonna say this. This lady here. This lady here thought it was okay to just say, you know what, bump all these rules and regulations. I'm finna drive home. The whole car literally cold froze over. Now we stuck in her job, surviving off of vending machines, snacks, and hot chocolate for 3 days. And when I tell you, that was probably the funnest moment of my life, but probably the most stressful time because I was really just in here like, yo, I'm starving. Breakfast consists of not even Pop-Tarts. We had little packets of Oreos that came like 6 in there and a little styrofoam cup of hot chocolate. And literally, we had to go up to like 3 different floors just to, man, I ain't gonna lie, I took probably every single hot chocolate packet they had in that whole building. Like, I ain't gonna cap.
Man, y'all ain't seen real snow for real.
We have not.
We have not.
When that was it.
We don't know what to do.
What was that, 2013, 2014?
Snow might be the best
Something like
thing.
That was before that.
The
It
best
was in
thing
7th grade.
ever happened.
Bruh. I remember it started snowing at school, and they canceled school that day. They was like, "Yeah,
Oh,
we're."
These kids don't, bro. What?
It's
The new
like,
generation not gonna know
y'all
about
going
that.
home.
They don't know about that. My cousin is finna be 8, 7. She ain't like legit. She ain't never threw a snowball, made a snowman.
That's because of global
But-
warming, though. Different talk. That's different subject.
Yeah, that's a whole different subject. But back onto this whole thing. Now, how do y'all feel as though when it comes to, matter of fact, we can keep on that with what we talk about now. How do you feel like entertainment is different for different, like, I'm gonna say your parents growing up, you growing up, and let's say the elementary school and now. Like, what do you feel as though that entertainment has changed? Because now, before, I'm pretty sure everybody remembers back when Disney used to show them movies every day, 8 o'clock, like throwing on like that, or as though we'll watch certain cartoons, like how Teen Titans used to be top tier, and now Teen Titans Go. I don't even recommend that to a 5-year-old.
Nah.
Or SpongeBob used to be. I mean, nah, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Teen Titans Go now. Compared to like just how it is, it's like it does it injustice. Like I was talking with my dad earlier, and I was telling him like, oh, they bringing Thundercats back. Like that used to be his thing. I was afraid to even show him this new Thundercats. I was really just like, yo, he gonna hate this. And I was showing, he was just like, what is that? That ain't nothing. Like, how you feel as though entertainment-wise gets changed?
Everything changes every generation.
Yeah.
That just is what it is.
Yeah, it is, but
Really.
Not
Everything
much to say.
changes every year.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like with
and it's going to change.
younger
which it is.
generations don't, like I can't get my siblings to sit down and do nothing. Like they just aren't entertained by nothing no more. Like compared to how I was when I was their age. Like it wouldn't take much for me to just sit down and just do something, but they gotta be up and everywhere. It's just changing the generation.
It do.
Like, even so with toys, like, I don't know if y'all remember, but I don't even know when it was. It was some couple years ago when Toys R Us started to go out of business. And I remember every birthday I was getting gift cards from Jeffrey, giving me $20, and I go in there and I act like I had a 1,000 on me just balling. But it was just like now you don't get those luxuries of seeing those cars. I mean, I'm not seeing no cars, but going to that store, seeing stuff. It's like now everything's online. It's like you buy 2K instead of actually go buying a breakaway rim, and it's just like.
I think that's normal though. Like generations just change, because then our parents will say, like, oh, we was going here when we was younger. Converse was only this much when we was younger, and now you gotta pay, like, you know. That's just, I mean, stuff just changed. I don't think it's like each generation got their own influences, cultures, entertainment, all that type of stuff.
Do you feel as though the influence is depicting like a bad change for those?
I don't think. I think like influences back in the day, because social media wasn't as prevalent. You would have like big superstars. Like you got Michael Jackson. We don't have no big superstars of our day like that. Like Beyonce big, but it's not
she
like. She
probably the biggest one.
Yeah, biggest one.
We got Drake, but
he not Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Nah.
Like people was fainting.
I ain't gonna lie,
Shawty. See him, you know.
Shawty.
We don't got that.
Man.
Nobody is Michael Jackson.
He ain't never gonna be.
He compared himself to Michael Jackson.
Chris Brown? I don't compare him.
Drake compared himself to Michael Jackson.
People compare him.
I mean, I just feel like, I mean, we have entertainers, but they, like, the ultimate entertainer was like,
the value of an entertainer now is different from the value.
Yeah, most definitely.
They were superstars. You don't have like superstars today.
And I feel like majority with just the advancement of like with YouTube and everything, anybody can be an influencer. Like you got people who got 100K followers on Instagram, and people waiting to see what they feel about a certain thing, or what they feel about like a certain topic, or just how they feel about with certain celebrities on certain standpoints. And it's like people who we never even knew or ever did anything, they just got hella followers, and it's like, oh, I have a platform now. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just when it comes with that, I feel like there's a misguidance or what really needs to be talked about besides of what doesn't need to be talked about. And it's like when you got kids as young as in a 4th grade year now with, man, I seen a 5th grader with a better phone than me, and I felt some type of way. And it was just like, he off rip can see he's on Instagram already, and it's like he's getting up, like, as you can see kids with doing TikTok dances and stuff like that. It's just that influences so much. And when it comes with influences, it also comes with like what kind of goals you're setting. Like how you were saying that you don't have the traditional occupations that people will be saying like, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be doing this and that. How do you feel as though that really just changed like the whole mindset of what needs to happen as like far as how far you want to go, or what you see in yourself? Like how people used to say, oh, I'm going to grow up be a doctor, or I'm going to grow up be a lawyer, and now you hear people saying, oh, I'm going to grow up being like a YouTube sensation, or going up, I'm getting like TikTok famous. And as far as you can literally get paid from just literally sitting down typing. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's a good thing, but also I feel as though it could be perceived as bad.
Okay, now I wouldn't necessarily say it's bad, because like people are just gonna do what they feel. Like if they want to be YouTubers, then they're gonna be YouTubers. Mm-hmm. If they want to, like, you're not gonna be able to pressure them to do anything else unless they have the drive for it, because then they're gonna be sitting in a freaking 9 to 5 or something, hating their life. Like they're going to hate it. So it's really just like, if they feel passionate about being a YouTuber, then hey, get the camera, be a YouTuber, take it seriously. But I mean, I'm not gonna sit up here and be like, that's not a real job, you know?
No,
like,
because it is. I mean,
if you're supporting yourself and you are creating some type of longevity and happiness for yourself, it doesn't matter what you do.
I also think, though, you had said something like you're like waiting for YouTubers or influencers to like speak on certain subjects or whatever, and it's like not really important. But I don't agree with that. I think like, because again, it just goes back into like, what's your interest? So something that you might not find important or like like global warming. Some people don't care about that at all, but for somebody else, it's like that's really important for them, a topic that needs to be discussed. And yeah, I wouldn't say like something is not important just because like you're not interested in it.
Right.
You go where your passion is, bro. Simple passion.
Got to. And really, I just feel as though when it comes to millennials down, or I'm not even say millennials. Well, no, I'm definitely gonna say millennials. I feel like as though millennials down just understand this world way better just because of this is what we're growing up in. Like someone who's literally being born, coming home, growing up. Oh, we have Wi-Fi, you have internet, and all of this. That's what you're accustomed to. That's your lifestyle. Like you have that. As far as like my grandmother coming home, I think I'm a genius when she can't log on to Google, but all I did was reset the router. Like it's mind blowing. But it's just the fact that the way you grow up, I feel as though the way you grow up most definitely, or the way you're brought up, or you bring up the next generation, shouldn't be accustomed to what you're used to, and it should most likely be brought together by what is going on now. And I feel as though that's what I'm really trying to accomplish when I say that this, as far as A2W, Atlanta to the world, is just, I really want to make sure that everyone can come to an understanding on different accounts on things. Because really, nothing's really new. Everything is just built different now. Like, it's like situations where we're going on now, like, let's just say bullying. Bullying's been going on for a minute, but it's the fact that you got cyberbullying now. As far as 30 years ago, and it wasn't really a thing, because we didn't have cyberbullying. As far as just learning your identity. Before you get thrown into the world trying to understand things, but now it's like you understand things based off of how really things are going on. But with that being said, I feel like I did first time, whatnot. Just want to go ahead and say thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for being a part of my dream, being part of what I feel as though I feel is important.
You did good, bro.
One type of situation for,
good job.
you know, it's gonna get better on certain things. But thank you, K.I.W.D.G. Give me a round of applause, for sure. And with that being said, we out.